Good afternoon. I'm Matt Hale, Scrum Master for Team Deku, and this is the product delivery presentation for OCUFLY flight software. Joining me are
Joshua Stalvey, product owner.
Tyler Vance.
Jordan Shellhorse.
Ernest Jackson.
James Faber.
Tiana Vasquez.
Who and why? Humans are imperfect. When our adrenaline gets pumping, we make mistakes. And in the line of duty, these mistakes can prove fatal. Our goal at Team Deku is to provide our law enforcement officers and first responders with the tools they need to catch these mistakes so that they can protect the things that matter most.
Okay, here we have our architecture flow chart. We have the OCUFLY folder, which contains multiple files and folders. In the install folder, we have the install file here for Linux that allows us to work with this whole thing. In the object test folder, we have the object test.py file, which is contains an example for how the object recognition works. Next, we have the flight software file, which is used for the control of the drone. And object.rec.py is the next file that's used to detect and recognize objects. Televideo. This televideo folder is the folder that contains the from DJI that contains the SDK that allows us to use video encoding.
All right, and I worked on the flight software part, and what we got is just a simple little GUI, and then the top button just connects to the actual drone once it's actually connected through the Wi-Fi. And then you have just these 4 simple buttons that just kind of, basically just take off, land, you got your battery level, and then end just closes out of the program and just silently lands the drone on its own. And then we got these speed and degrees of rotation dials sliders, so we can just control these, because you have to have a number to put in whenever you do the movements. And with the speed, I got the minus and plus buttons actually controlling it also to make it a little bit easier. And then for the controls, I just have it set up almost like a video game style. So it's just a WASD to move, left, right, forward, and back. And then the arrow keys up and down just change the altitude. And then you have your left and right, and then that's just changing your yaw with it. The only thing that doesn't really work as well as probably wanted it to was the I had to use the RC controls, and so you have to hit space bar for the movement to stop. But other than that, it works pretty well.
For the object recognition, we use an open source software called CVLib. CVLib allows us to identify up to 80 objects, and those objects can be either faces, cars. It can help to determine the gender. In the given picture, we are able to check how many items of that particular thing are in the picture. We can also create drawings around the objects that we want, if it's small.
Okay, so Televideo is open source software that's provided by DJI. It's an SDK that we were going to implement and use. It has the recommended video encoder that you should use for the DJI drones. However, while using this software and everything, we ran into a multitude of issues. It will not install on Windows. It will not install on Mac. Even using their installation, and then even sometimes trying to go through and manually do installations and create it that way. So when doing this, we ran into quite a few issues. We ended up having to use Linux, Ubuntu 18.04. At one point, we even switched to Linux Ubuntu 20, the newest release, and that actually caused the application to crash itself, and it didn't work. So it's very selective on what it does and doesn't work on, which is sad because we really needed this in order to be able to get the video decoding from their library. And that's primarily where most of the issues actually lay was with the video decoding. It could not interpret it because the video encoding is in C++, and it basically had to make it to where the machine code and everything could be transferred to something that Python can work with. And it only worked in Python 2.7, which was not compatible at all with our object recognition software, which requires at least Python 3, I believe 3.4 or higher. So we ran into some issues there. It's apparently a common issue. It's not something that is just a one-off. Like I said, we tried on multiple machines. I personally tried on 3 different Windows machines, was unable to get it to work. Attempted one Mac, and then Linux, only the 18.04 distro was operable. So that made it to where we can't actually fly our drone and receive video, since we were never able to get the SDK from DJI itself to work with our DJI drone. So that's one of our biggest setback, and what has prevented us from being able to release to a fully capable program or product.
Even though we faced a critical setback in our incompatibility with DJI's video encoder, we were able to develop a partially functioning product, which we would be happy to demonstrate to you in these 2 videos.
Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to use our object recognition software. I have a test that I've created that will display how it works and what it does. In order to have the dependencies installed so that you can run this yourself, you should view my video on how to install those dependencies. Remember, this is primarily made and tested for Linux. I am running currently on a Windows machine because my Linux one is down at the moment. But let's go ahead and get started. So whenever you install our repository, or you clone our repository from GitHub, you'll be in this OCUFLY folder. This is what has all of our code, all of our work and everything in it. You'll see that we have a folder here called Object Test. We're going to CD into that. Okay, when we're in there, we can ls and we can look, see what we have. So what we have here is object test.py. So this is the actual program that we're using to run the test. And then we have 3 images here that we're going to run the tests on, and we'll see the results after we run it. Granted, the very first time you run this, it will take a considerable amount of time. It may not take very long since I've run it recently. Your results may vary though. So I got my results back pretty quickly. We can see here that with the image that we have, it has recognized that we have 5 people here, and it's even recognized Mr. Reeves' tie. We can zoom in so we can get a better view of what's going on here. And right here you can see that it's labeled each person and object and created a box around them. That way we can locate in the image where the person or object is. Here's another test. We've see that we have a dog and a cat. It recognizes a chair in the background as well. And this last one, recognizes all the different type of vehicles and everything that we may have on the road. It can even recognize, in this case, it can even see the person on the motorcycle at a very far distance away from it. Now, whenever this is all done, all of this right here, I've had it to where it prints out what it sees in each of these in the terminal here. If you go into the results folder right here, everything is saved into this folder, and we can see the images again. The color looks a little bit better now, and it's a little bit easier to read. But and then it also has a text file that accompanies it that tells you what was in each one of these. So once again, you can see here we have the dog, the cat, and the chair, the dog, cat, and chair, and here we have numerous amount of cars, trucks, motorcycles, and people, and we have those results here as well. All right, thank you. Hello, today I'm going to show you how to use our flight software that you can get right here. You can see that we're in our OCUFLY folder and everything that comes from the repository. The first thing you have to do is to power on your drone and then connect to it via Wi-Fi. So what we'll do here, we will ls, and you can see that we have here the flight software.py. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it. I'm going to give the command py flight software. For some people it may be Python, others it may be Python 3. You just want to make sure that you're using your Python 3.6 or higher. You do not use Python 2.7. So we're going to go ahead and we will run this now. And here's our GUI. This GUI has a series of commands and everything that we can do. A lot of this can actually be done from the keyboard. One thing we will have to do is we will have to connect. All right, and that right there connects to the drone and allows the drone to start receiving commands. The next thing I'll do is I will do the takeoff. All right, and I will let you see here exactly how this works. So I give the takeoff command, which allows the drone to take off. From here, I can start using the keys to give commands to go backwards, forwards, and then I'm going to go ahead and land now. And I went ahead and landed just because primarily the drone drifts a little bit. That's just the nature of this drone in particular. But you can see that if I hit the takeoff and everything and there's something immediately underneath it, it's going to try to power through and everything. So you have to make sure that it's not being held to any restricted services. It does have emergency commands to shut it off if it does do something it's not supposed to do. But we also have where we can check the battery level. It doesn't currently display on the GUI, but if you are running through terminal like we are currently, you can see currently our battery is at 89%. And then to end, you can just exit out there and turn off your drone.
So for the next part of the presentation, we're going to take you over to our team website, and I'll go ahead and give you a little tour about that. Go ahead. This is the main page. From left to right are intro, demo, tutorial, developers, and about. So in the intro, we have an image of our object recognition software in action. And this is just a little bit about our goal and what we want to do. And in demo, these are the demonstration videos of our software in action. And in the tutorial, there's a link to the PDF installation guide file, as well as a YouTube video tutorial. For our developers, we have a few links to the computer vision library, the DJI video encoder SDK if they want to try to look at any networking, as well as a link to our GitHub so they can acquire the source code for their own use. And for the About page, this is just a little bit about us, about where we are, what school we go to, our histories, and what we plan to do after graduation. And of course, we have the links to all of our personal websites down below.